Do you remember when that filter that makes women look like men, like gives them a beard? You've seen that
You're
one?
right.
You know,
Yeah, now that really happens.
that Emily would do that and then send me a story just to like disgust me. Like it would disgust me. Like I would be like, I would like open it and I would look and I would like literally just say, oh. Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 137. Of course, we got Dusty Hanshaw, Scott McNally, myself, Big Ron Partlow, and we got a Q&A episode today. Lots of questions from the YouTube. Scott's going to pull those up, and Dusty's got a question box today on It's Just Bodybuilding. I know Dusty's got a lot of questions, and Scott's got some YouTube questions for us, and we're going to do a solid Q&A for you guys. Make sure you have your, cardio dose for the week.
There we go.
You know, the number of people that are like cardio dependent on their podcasts is really huge, isn't it?
It's important. It allows you to not think about the fact that you're just standing there doing cardio on a machine. You like get to unplug,
right.
You know? It's good.
Yeah.
I listen to, dentist. That's a good place to listen to a podcast. Put it on. You're not thinking about what's really happening with that drill.
That's a great idea. I never took my headphones into a dentist.
You should.
I have an appointment coming up. Yeah. Got the old Pearlies getting cleaned soon again, so I'm gonna head in there and I'll take my headphones this time.
Try it. Yeah.
I think it's good that way they're not trying to. I love when they try to talk to you while they have the thing in your mouth. How's your day? Are you fucking kidding me?
I did make
one with you, so that's not good.
I made a bad mistake though. I made a terrible. So this is 2 times ago at the dentist. I was trying to turn my phone down to hear what they were saying, and I was hitting. My phone was upside down, so I was actually hitting the off button, and I called 911. And like I had all this shit in my mouth at the time, so I couldn't talk. And I got my headphones on. And they're like, 911. What's your emergency? And I was like, and the lady was like, you did what? Wait, what?
Kidnapping in progress.
You called.
Sounds like he has a gun in his mouth. He has a gun in his mouth.
You called 911? And I was like, oh yeah. And she took my phone and she was like, oh no, he's okay. He's in the dentist chair. He called you by accident.
Yeah, that's what a hostage taker would say.
Yeah, right?
Exactly. Right? I'm surprised they didn't come in kicking the door down, dentist my ass.
You could imagine I was very embarrassed though. Like very highly embarrassed to that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, your day sucked prior to this mess. You're welcome.
The dentist handled it well, though.
Them.
He's like an old school guy. And he was like, I told you if you wanted me to stop, if you needed a break, you could just tell me. You didn't have to call the police.
It's not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just a grizzled old dentist who's had like SWAT raids and everything. He's just
not his first fucking rodeo.
Okay, Scott, you got some YouTube.
Whoa!
What are we going too fast?
What do we do in the beginning?
Ooh. Oh, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell. Okay,
Very
good.
There we go.
Very
really good delay on that. Actually, I want to start. We got a little bit of Dusty bought his mama house.
Yes.
And then that was played while we went.
And that's the update. So, you have to make sure everyone knows the secret. It has to be close enough that you don't mind the drive, but far enough that she doesn't want to make the drive all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, because there was actually, I was telling the guys off the air, the model home was available literally next to the house I bought. And they offered it to me, and I just threw a lowball offer saying, go away, not realizing how bad they'd want to get rid of the model home. And they're like, we'll take it. And I was like, is it still right next to my house?
Can I move it?
Yeah, it's still there. I was like, I don't want that one. No,
I'll
find another one.
Very close.
But I was able to hide that under the fact that they wanted to close in 2 months, which also didn't work. So
right,
we're good. We got the 12-minute drive, which is far enough, but close enough.
here's the key. Were you able to make your mom think you tried to get the house next door?
Well, she's going to find out about this when she watches this show.
Yeah, I was going to say she watches the show.
Never
so
knew.
That.
Never knew.
Okay, that's definitely a key.
Yeah,
so what's your week looking like? What's your week looking like, Dusty?
Oh, it's busy week because, as you know, the Fit Expo is closing in on us. So, and I've got to shoot with you.
Oh.
So actually today, this is a true story, Scott. Today's leg workout, I literally only waited long enough for Nikki to do her set, and then I went again. And I added like 7 or 8 sets.
You're getting your conditioning.
I was drenched. I didn't even worry about weight. Like on the Smith squats, I got up to 405. I'd do 12, 15 reps, rack it. Yeah. She'd go, I'd go again, rack it. I went over to leg press, jammed it out. I'm like, I got to get ready. Ron's going to kill me. Like, kill me. Literally. Plus, we're in LA, so I'm going to be barely breathing because if you've been to Gold's and trained in the summer, you're underwater.
Yeah.
So I've got like 2 weeks to get ready for this shit. I mean, it's the biggest show of my life. I'm scared.
What are we going to train?
We got to train legs.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Because I really like their hack squat and their leg press, and they got the really old school lying leg, like they have the Nautilus lying leg curls, the extensions.
Right. Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, we have
okay.
to.
Well, we'll do legs then if we have to. If that's just how it has to be, then that's just how it has to be.
And we're gonna do it Ron's way. So I'm gonna do cardio later today. I'm literally preparing for a workout with Ron because maybe you forget that Ron is shreddy and rides bikes for longer than I stay up all day.
That's true.
It's not good.
It's very active.
I rode for 3 hours the other day. I did a 3-hour ride the other day.
I rest my case.
And Dusty prepared for this workout with you by doing one leg day a little bit faster than normal. I don't know how much that's going to translate, Dusty.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, so I got like 14 more workouts to do this. I hit up my friend Lance Armstrong and I was like, you got some EPO? But anyways, he said no, he's never tried it.
You'll see how I'm doing by the number of plates we have to remove between sets now. It'll be a little bit more than before. You were like one plating me before, but now you'll be like 3 plating me.
But not if we're doing that pace. Because I'm just going to lay on the ground in between.
The pace might help me with like a plate aside, closer to your number.
No, it was fun. I mean, it was fun though. I got to admit, it was hard. I was like, we got done, and I was like, man, I did good. Like I didn't feel nauseous or anything. Hop in the truck. I start driving home, and the movement in the truck. I was like, and now I'm car sick.
Yeah.
Right.
So I did find some stuff. We've got some questions, and I do have to say, I think we sparked like a new segment without even thinking about it, because we got asked about another rivalry. Remember, we had the Tom Platz versus Dorian, and then we had
and I knew which one they mentioned.
Okay, Kai versus Phil, and now we have another rival. And I also want to tell you guys, so True Nutrition is sponsoring a contest for all of Think Big Bodybuilding Media. And here's what I'm going to do. Each month, they're going to give out a prize. We're going to do like a 3-pound bag of protein for this first month. And what I'm going to do for the contest is everybody that gets a question on the show, you will be put into a drawing. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to use a random generator to pick one lucky winner. So with that said, this will be one of the entries here. And this is from Vert Real. Okay, so here we go. As for biggest bodybuilding rivalries, how about Craig Titus versus King Kamali?
That was a good one. That was a vicious early 2000s, truly disliking each other rivalry.
I think I preferred that because, there was no respect in that rivalry. They hated each other. That's a rivalry where you're like, they might actually fight.
Right. True.
Which is great, And they went back and forth. The other problem with all the other rivalries that we discussed was really one guy was winning for the most part. Whereas those two literally flip-flopped 2 years in a row at the Olympia. Right. First, King did better. Then the next year, Titus did better.
Right.
And they were very openly shit talker. I enjoyed that rivalry. I can't believe none of us remembered that.
Yeah,
I wonder what it's like. I wonder what it's like to have a rivalry with somebody, like a really public rivalry where you're like shitting on them and calling them out and they're calling you out. And it's really a real actual like rivalry. And then that person winds up going to jail for murder.
I was just thinking that, man. Yeah.
I wonder what it's like. 'Cause you'd be like, fuck, maybe if I said one more thing, you would have killed me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how close was I to getting put in the trunk of the car?
Ending up in the desert.
I always
because you're thinking this guy, shit talk.
Yeah, he's
this
also
guy.
talking
What's
about
he
his
gonna
ass.
do? What's he gonna do?
What's he gonna throw me in the trunk of a car and light it on fire? It's ridiculous.
What are you gonna do? Burn my body in the middle of the desert? Yeah.
Can we also bring up the fact, while we're on this glorious topic, you're in the middle of a desert. You have two choices: dig a hole,
That
walk
no one will
away,
find. Like all the
or
mob
light
guys
a
did for
giant
50 years.
fucking fire.
Yeah.
Never mind. They're just having like a mini Burning Man out there. Just ignore the fire.
I think
Because they literally say, like if you've been attacked or anything like that, or you're being attacked, they say to scream fire.
Yeah.
Because people run to fire.
Yeah. I think
And helicopters notice fire.
Meth affects your decision making. I think
Just a touch.
You
Just
know?
a touch.
Yeah.
It was I remember when it happened, I was like, she went in the middle of the desert and lit a fire instead of digging a hole.
And in the car, like, wasn't it their car?
Yes. And then they had
Like, what, you just take the plate off and you think they're not going to find out whose car it is?
video of them buying the ignition fuel and stuff on a credit card.
Yeah.
You know what I have? I've never done anything with it, but Carl Lenore hit me up one day. Carl Lenore, he has a podcast called Superhuman Radio, super long. He's been out there for like 15 years now.
Yep.
He was like, Scott, I don't have anything that I can do with this stuff. Do you want it? And it was all of these audio recordings of Craig Titus from jail before the trial, like trying to figure shit out and calling people and telling people like what to do and trying to talk in code and potentially trying to put a hit out on. It was some weird shit. Like I listened to maybe 2-3 hours of it. I was like, I can't do anything with this, but it was freaking dark.
We can do shit. We can put it up on this channel.
Dark shit to have. There was some darkness around that stuff. Oh yeah.
I love that he's in jail trying to get out of the trouble.
Yeah.
By getting into more trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Allegedly, all this stuff. Allegedly, right?
Right.
Craig,
so what was on there? He's like, hey, the guy I don't like. It would be great if he just went away. Like, what kind of code is he talking in?
It was a while ago, so I don't really. I hate to commit to saying anything, but there was like some shady stuff.
Since I'm already in here, maybe that guy with the initials KK could also go away.
It might have been like a witness thing or something like that,
right?
That kind of thing, yeah.
Oh my God! All right, sorry, I derailed us.
But there was a lot of that kind of talk. Like we need to take care of our problem. Our problem.
Wink, wink.
This problem needs to vanish and never come back again. Ever.
You know what it was? We've got a screenplay, and I think that this character needs to be taken out of the movie. We're going to have them. We're going to end that role. That's what they were talking about. Yeah.
Need to write this.
I don't know how anyone would have caught on. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dusty, you mentioned derailing the show, but that's when the show is at its best. I don't want to have to remind everyone, but if we stay totally on topic here, we wind up with just an average episode right down the middle, nice and safe.
We don't do safe.
Okay.
We don't do safe. We do burning cars.
Yes. What else you got, Scott?
All right. Another entry for the contest here. Question for the next show. Did your largest off-season body weight pushes translate to the biggest leaps in muscle mass on stage? Iron Warrior.
Not necessarily. No. The heaviest I ever got, I only wound up being like 4 pounds heavier on stage the next year. And my actual mathematically best preps, if you're just looking at body weight moving, were when I started my prep like light and, cleaned out and kind of lean. Those were always when my body weight wouldn't move for like the whole diet. And I'd come in at like actually yield more muscle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I tell everyone, yes, you have to eat to get big. You have to eat to get big. There's a lot of pizzas and burgers in an 800-pound squatting Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
But was I any better off at 330 than I was at 310? No, because it was just water weight and like food bloat and making me really uncomfortable and sluggish. You know what I mean? So some of the years where I was like 310 to 315, I actually felt like I might have yielded more muscle than the year I went to 330 and had to come down all that way. And it was really tough. So yeah.
Would you say there's a factor for you, Ron, also, you individually, where if you were going to push the weight, not to the same numbers, it would have been possible, but say gotten as heavy body fat wise and everything as you did when you were 330, had you done that earlier in your career, you think it would have yielded more? Just because obviously you were pretty late in your career at that point too. So
yeah,
4 to 5 pounds in a year is actually great that deep in your career.
So that's another thing that's a theory I have, is that younger guys get more out of a bulk, like in the traditional sense, like when we're thinking of just pushing the scale. I think that on younger guys, we see more benefit. I guess they haven't hit their, that threshold where you've got a lot of muscle and things are going to get real tough from that point on. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll say like the first half of your physique can be built a lot faster if you just, eat like a crazy man and train hard and lift heavy. That whole sort of bulk up phase that we all go through when we're young seems to be much more beneficial on a younger guy than on, like, say, take a 35-year-old and try to push him up 40 pounds. It doesn't necessarily make him any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I ask. I never really did that late in my career, but I did do it early, get heavy. And there were, 12, 15-pound jumps in muscle mass during those time periods. But then my very best gains between shows truly came in because I spent a year and a half where I literally did not eat anything that Chris didn't tell me to eat.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And so that's where you really realize as much. And I have to admit, I try to, as a coach, factor in that people have lives and want to live. So they have 1 or 2 cheat meals a week. Like, that's just normal. I'm like, that's if you do math on percentages, if you're eating 42 times a week and 2 of them are complete whatever, that's still a great number. It's still a great percentage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't ignore that when I didn't do that even once, the results were ridiculous. Like, when I show pictures from 2010 to 2011, and 11 I went down too far, actually over dieted, but still the muscle mass and the shape were 2 different people. Like, and there wasn't some huge jump in drugs either. It was just machine, train, eat, sleep, repeat. So
I
said
did.
For that.
I sort of have a sub answer for that. I had someone ask the other day, what was the, obviously in the first few years you train, you add the most muscle, right? Like, we gain, gain like 100 pounds in the first 4 years, right?
Sure.
But once you're competing, once you're dieting down and you're already like a super heavyweight, which I was right off the bat, what was my best year for growing and improving my physique? And I actually think that from 2004 to 2006 was one of my biggest jumps. And that's because I didn't compete in 2005.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I pushed my body weight up super far. I just had this time to just train and be big and eat. And my weight wasn't that crazy. I was like, 310, 315, maybe, that year. But I stayed that weight for like an entire 14, 15, 16 months.
Yeah.
And just trained hard and was big and huge for like a year and a half with not a single day of dieting, And then when I dieted down for that next show, I wound up going from where I was always kind of hitting the high 240s. I was all of a sudden into the mid 250s now at my next show. Wow. And my condition was another level that I'd never achieved. I was at a new standard because I was always in pretty good shape my first few nationals. And then when I came back in 06, that was when I was like, oh, you're shredded now. Like this is a different. And I was heavier. And I think it was just the year off, just the time off.
Truly were bodybuilding for a year.
Cement that size in, stay that size for a long time and make that muscle more permanent.
It's hard to grow a lot if you're competing, say like at nationals the same time every year. I found I would do if I did a spring show, then I would do a fall show the following year. That way I'd have enough time, You guys want some more questions? We got a bunch more on that last episode. We got a bunch of stuff here. Paul, you were also entered in the contest. I'm excited to do this. It's cool to kind of have that participation from True Nutrition.
Oh, this is a good one.
Okay. So he says, love the show, fellas. Question, did any of you or someone start bodybuilding because you were overweight? And when that person lost the weight and looked better, did you notice that your friends didn't want to be friends with you anymore? I found the gym and it changed my life. Not just my appearance, but my confidence too. I got a better job and I started going out on more dates. The one thing I never saw coming, though, was that the loss of friendships. And I think it was because I wasn't the friend in need anymore, and someone that they could look down on. I love bodybuilding, but it can be lonely. And since bodybuilding is such a niche sport, it's hard to find people with that in common. I guess my question is, if you lost friends because of success, whether it be personal, physical, or professional, how did you not let that affect you? That is a good one.
I could go on for hours on this. So Ron, start talking before I do.
Well, I mean, this is a fantastic topic. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a whole fucking lot to say about this. I'm kind of fortunate in this regard because I started bodybuilding literally in junior high school. Like I was in grade 9 when I started working out all the time and making it a priority. And so it was just always a part of me. So anyone who was even a friend of mine in high school knew that I worked out and carried protein shakes and, was trying to get big and strong and all that sort of stuff. So it's been part of me my whole life. So I never really went through a transition where where my friends had to deal with me becoming a bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Or adult friends having to deal with this change. That never happened to me. I was always so into it that my bubble was always constructed around it. So it was just I never really had that, but I've seen that happen to people where they step up and the one thing I really get is when you get you see a couple and the one person wants to elevate their fitness and the other person doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And it can end things because that one person resents the other person for wanting to go to the gym 5 days a week and wanting to do their cardio and wanting to eat better. And they start to look better and feel better and they start to be happier. The other person gets resentful. And I guess that same thing happens on a friend level too. People want you to be where you are because they're where they are. And that's their, everything's constructed around them, their hierarchy of who is in their world. And when someone moves and changes positions, it can throw other people off. I don't know. Dusty sounds like he's got a lot more to say about this.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say this pertains to almost everything. I think the same thing happens when you come up with a bunch of people and you go to college together and then you all leave college or you do whatever it is you do. And then you decide to become for yourself more in life, whatever that means. Whether it's you're going to open your own business or you want financially more money or things like that. And when you start to succeed, you will find out who your friends are. And I think that happens in everything. So staying on topic with bodybuilding, it shouldn't matter. The majority of my friends stopped bodybuilding when I kept going. We didn't stop being friends. So it shouldn't matter. So the simple answer to me is anyone who alters their view of you because you're feeling better about yourself for anything was never your friend to begin with.
Yeah.
That's just a simple fact. And I think I'm fortunate enough to have had my health issues last year where I got a real smack in the face of, on the opposite end of the spectrum, how lucky I was to have a lot of friends, like people I really was like, holy shit, I have actual friends, because the wheels fell off and they're all still standing here. And it's easy to be friends with a guy when everything's great. So I would consider it a win. Anything in life that rids you of someone who you didn't realize was kind of holding you back is a good thing. And if you just continue on your mission currently with your fitness and just training and doing your thing and remaining who you are at your core, people will come around you who want to continue to elevate you, and you'll elevate them. You know, so I do find it's that very trite saying is, you know, hang around with winners, the conversation's different. It really is. So you'll be around people who, as you meet them, that are going to respect what you've done. And maybe they're even more advanced than you, whether it's financially, physically, whatever. And you will push each other to new levels. So although it's lonely, I would rather be at a table alone than surrounded by people who aren't really there for me.
Absolutely. And my dad used to say, it's hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys.
Very accurate.
You know? And yeah, some people want you to stay where you are because it makes them comfortable.
Yep.
You know, and that's a weird thing. I don't get that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always really excited when I see people like change and take ownership of something and, you know, step up. Motivating. It makes you think, fuck, I hope I'm not being lazy.
I think that's a good thing too, is you're right, because when someone else elevates, even when it does kind of like, in a good way, you're like, that's awesome. Now, can I step up also? And then when you do, guess what they turn around and do? It's fucking awesome. You know, that's how you know it's your friends, you know, because anybody who's truly your friend wants to see you win, whatever that means.
Yeah. Well, you know, like, I don't know if it's in the, you know, Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life. I think it's in the first 12 rules is be very aware of who is happy when you have good news, and also who is there for you when you have bad news. You know, they say a really bad trait to keep an eye open for is when you have good news and the person you tell it to feels the need to one up you.
Huh.
Right.
That's like a really toxic trait. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. So when you're like, hey man, I got good news. We'll just use this dumb example. You know, I squatted 405 for the first time. And someone who can just be genuinely happy for you, like, that's fucking awesome, man. Like, I remember that it's fucking great feeling. I'm happy for you. But when someone's just immediately changes it to them, oh yeah, it's cool. I squatted 555 for 3 last week. It was fucking, and they just have to get on you. That's a trait, is like, this person's not really happy for you. They're happy that they get to tell you about themselves.
Yep.
So keep an eye peeled for that, you know? And we all do that sometimes. Every single person has one-upped somebody and not realized it. Right. So it's also good to be aware of that as like a bad habit. And it's not a good thing when people need, a lot of people who tell you their successes, they're hoping, like, you're Dusty Hanshaw. To you, you're just Dusty. But to someone who comes and tells you something they've accomplished, maybe they look up to you. And if you cut them off and one up them, that's like super toxic to them. And you might not realize that, but they don't see you as an equal. They see you as someone they're coming to hoping for some, you know, something positive, right? Just interesting to think of. Be aware.
And I guess it's important, you know, you make me think, because I've had people do that to me. And at the same time, I mean, I'm a human being. I feel like I've probably done that to other people without even thinking about it. I feel like thinking about that makes me more self-aware. Don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Like,
don't be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously we've all done it, but there's some people that chronically always.
I know what you mean.
Like,
we've known people. Yeah.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
All right. We had another rivalry question, but I also have to appease Connie Richards, one of our longtime followers.
Yes.
Because every week she's asked me for wedding pictures. So I had one on my desktop here. We're going to share a wedding picture here, guys.
Nice. Whose wedding?
Good.
I get to share a picture of my beautiful wife here. Yes.
There we go.
Yes. Look at me. I'm the luckiest freaking guy. Let me tell you that.
You look very, very happy and very aware of how statistically rare it is for a guy like you to get a woman like that.
I love that you said statistically rare. He is very aware.
Yeah, I've got the look, right? I've got that look.
Yeah. No, it's good. I like you guys look great. You guys look great.
All right. So, I can't find the screen cap here. I'll just tell you, and then I'll still save the screen cap for the entry, which the question is another rivalry, and this is probably like the all-time classic, is Lou versus Arnold.
Right. Now, when you watch Pumping Iron, and everyone who's seen this show should watch Pumping Iron. Like if you're one of those people out there where you're a bodybuilding fan and you watch the podcast and you take the supplements and you go to the gym and train, if you haven't watched Pumping Iron, you're really, really missing a key foundational element of being in the bodybuilding realm. Do you know what I mean? Here. Yeah, like how we got here, like how this all happened, like the genesis of everything that is happening is in that movie. And I think it's important for everyone to watch it and watch the whole thing. It's an easy watch. It's not even, it's like, what, an hour and a half long?
I think it's free on YouTube too. Like
it's free on YouTube. Or everyone Netflix. Should watch Pumping Iron. Yeah. It's an amazing, but having said that, there was a lot of stuff that was like, that the producers kind of egging them on. So Arnold was getting egged on, and Arnold also understood that this was a vehicle to help make him a bigger star. So he saw the opportunity. You can tell Arnold is just fucking, he loves that camera, man. He loves it. He plays up every second he's on the camera lens. He's being a character. And, some of the jousting with Lou is totally, the producer's going, hey, give him a hard time, and Arnold's like, right. I got it. I'll give him a very hard time, I love this scene when they're at breakfast the day before the Olympia, and he goes to have breakfast with Lou and his dad. And it's like, can you imagine that actually happening? Like, can you imagine, the morning of the Olympia, Brandon Curry goes for breakfast with Rami and his family, right? Like that wouldn't happen now. Brandon Curry's not going to go for breakfast with them the morning of the Olympia. But back then they set it up. They had the cameras. And I love when Lou says, I call my mom, or when Arnold says, I call my mother. I tell her I won the Olympia. She said, I already won. She said, congratulations, And then he looks at Lou and he goes, imagine how I must feel 7 times Mr. Olympia,
The day before the show.
But that's okay. You have 2 times universe. Like just fucking vicious, like, and you could see Lou's dad and Lou, they're like rolling their eyes, but that's just is funny, man, how they set that up. It's an entertaining rivalry. And, it was a hell of a time. Watching that movie now is so weird.
Oh God. Yeah. But I love it. Like as you were saying, people need to watch it. I'm like, they haven't already. I just assume everyone has that and Slapshot. You got to watch both.
Oh yes.
Sorry, had to throw that in. You're Canadian, you understand.
Oh no, you have to.
We got one more comment I wanted to mention, and it was that Ron has ruined more TV shows and movies for me than anybody that I've ever met, and I've never met him.
What do I do?
You get excited. You just get excited, and you you talk about it.
But I don't think you've ever actually said the end.
Well, I don't think I try not to spoil things.
One time, but I for not Hunger Games, that Squid Games. And I edited that out. Yeah. Otherwise, like somebody mentioned Sopranos, one of the best shows ever, which I agree. If you talk about the ending of Sopranos, if you haven't seen it, it's your fault by now. You know what I mean?
Right. True. Yeah. Well, so what's the statute of limitations on talking about the end of a show?
I don't know.
2 years.
Because like the huge dickhead move, the real big flagrant dickhead move was the Facebook spoiler, like an hour after a Game of Thrones would end.
Oh,
Yep.
and other people haven't had a chance to watch it yet. You know, like you're like a day away from the episode. The episode just ended, and you're talking about this character dying and stuff. And you know, I think Game of Thrones was one of the breaking points where I stopped going on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, ended your Facebook life.
Yeah, like the whole the 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. That's when Facebook I phased it out like at some point because I was like, I just got to dodge spoilers.
Yeah.
And but what's the cutoff? Like, can I talk about the end of Pulp Fiction? It's 1994.
Too new. It's too new. Your unborn children can talk about that, not us.
Like we can't talk. Like I can't tell you what happened in Ozark. So the new season.
No, but that's obvious. It's the same season.
You know, it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
I
your
feel
own
that way,
fault.
Peaky Blinders is over in the UK right now, and there's a way to get it here.
Oh.
But I'm not going through all that bullshit. So it comes out in June.
Yeah.
If someone were to talk about that live, I would block them.
Yeah.
That would be the end.
That'd be the end.
Never you're done. Dusty you're again. Dead to me. Boom.
Yes, absolutely. Another thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
Speaking of blocking people, I'm sure we all know people who've lost their Instagram accounts by now because they clicked on a link that someone sent them, like, "Hey, would you vote for me? Like a fitness influencer contest. Please vote for me." And it looks like a muscle and fitness link. Or it looks like some kind of link, and you click it and you check it out, and you're like, I don't know. I don't really feel like voting for this guy, but you've already clicked the link. And now within minutes, like there's a couple of minutes window there where someone's going in and changing your password and changing your phone number and changing your email, and you're fucked. And I've known a bunch of people that lost their accounts lately.
Yeah.
And I just want to do a PSA. Don't send people links and expect them to click them. People send me stuff all the time and they're not viruses, but I tell them I'm not clicking that link.
Yeah.
If you want to send me a link, text it to me. Or email me a link or something. Text me something and go, hey, can you check this out for me? Let me know what you think of this video or whatever. But Instagram, fuck off. I'm not clicking your link. I'm not voting for you. I'm not taking any part, and I'll probably block you because I think it's so suspicious that you sent me a link that I just don't want it to happen again.
Oh, no, I do.
I block people.
Them.
Yeah. Block them.
You got it, Mom?
Sure. Yeah.
Same thing
if same thing if you realize that someone's account did get taken, they're never getting it back. So just block that account.
Yeah.
I know some people who got it back through this facial recognition service that they did.
You have to know someone who I know Hollingshead got his back.
Yeah.
But Nate Spear did too, but Nate literally paid the guy. He paid a guy Bitcoin or whatever, and he bartered with him too, and he ended up giving the guy like $100 or something, and he got his account back. He's like, it was worth it. I had a lot of followers. I wanted to keep them. But what him and then other people who, so I had the guy who hacked Nate Spear and hacked a bunch of other people in fitness. They send you a message, and I got the message saying that you have violated standards or whatever. If you need to dispute this, here's a link to that. And when you click on that, it looks like you're still on Instagram, from what I understand. And basically you need to log in. And when you log in, you're giving them your info. Yeah. So the deal is that if you have the 2-step verification set up on your phone, I guess that will avoid that from them being able to change your stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Go fucking 2-step, 3-step, 4-step. Fuck. I got my authenticator app running on everything. Like top security.
There's no getting around.
Fuck you.
Fuck
you and your fucking link. Fuck off.
You know what's weird to me though is when I see those, right, and they get the account and they're immediately talking about, I gave this person $500 and they gave me $10,000 in a week.
Yeah.
And like, no one actually follows through and goes and signs up with them. So
what's the success rate?
So
there
is a thing that they're doing where they're laundering money. And I saw a thing on Vice or something where they are advertising through Instagram. So there is some of that stuff that's really real. But what ends up happening is that you let somebody else into you allow them to put money in your account, and then they take most of it back out. But a lot of times you get your account flagged. It's there's some black market shit that is happening where people are making money and they'll make like $1,000 off it, meeting somebody on Instagram. But if you were to follow through and that was real, you're still going to get screwed because then your bank account gets shut down by, FBI or whoever. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw a girl from Scottsdale. Her account got hacked, and I didn't notice it. And then all of a sudden, it was like, check out the new car I got with the Bitcoin. And I was laughing because she's rich, and the car was way shittier than the car she drives. I'm like, well, it doesn't work when you flag a rich bitch. Like, I was like, she wouldn't buy that car.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, just fucking. And you feel bad for people. Like the one link, a friend of mine just had her account taken. It was she does like nails. She's a nail tech. So it was like a coworker of hers who also does nails, sent her a link about nails.
Oh God.
And she fucking clicked it. And then she lost her account, but she got hers back with that facial recognition thing she went through. It took a couple days, but I guess if you don't have enough selfies on your account, then it won't work because there's not enough of your face for it to capture and believe you.
Right.
So those people that just post food pics, they're in big shit. You got to like facial recognition, a plate of food.
Yeah.
That is me.
Yeah, that is me.
I am lasagna.
Yes. Look at me. All those people that look like melted candles.
There are a lot of those.
Okay.
Did you see, by the way, Frank McGrath put up a great story the other day. It was him talking with one of the filters. We had the lashes and the clear skin.
Oh God.
And the whole thing. And he goes, ladies, none of you fuckers look like this. Could we knock it off? It was just amazing. I was like, and what's funny is I see people comment on other posts about that and everyone agrees, yet people continue to do it. It's so weird to me. I'm like, you did not. I've seen you in real life. That's not what you look like. Or they'll be doing it. A girl will be doing it, and it's like Emily's with Ron, and then she turns it to Ron, and then all of a sudden Ron has lashes and clear skin, and then back to it. I'm like, fuck, people, knock it off. Like, I've been ugly since the beginning. It's never been an issue for me to deal with. I'm just like, it's fine. Fuck it.
Do you remember when that filter that makes women look like men, like gives them a beard? You've seen that one?
Right. Yeah, now that really happens.
That Emily would do that and then send me a story just to like disgust me. Like it would disgust me. Like I would be like, I would like open it and I would look and I would like literally just say, oh. Like I couldn't even finish watching it, and she'd be giggling or laughing or doing something silly.
She's in the kitchen,
and I'm like, off. She's like, "Did you watch the whole thing?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "But you have to watch the whole thing. It's funny." I'm like, "I can't." Like it was too much. It was like deep, fucking it's hard.
All right, so do we have any more questions, or do I got to jump in some now, Scott?
Yeah, I'm all set over here with YouTube, but I do want to encourage everybody, if you have any questions, if you want to throw something in, put it in. Plus, you know what, all that stuff, it helps to boost us up in the algorithm, all the stuff so thank you, by the way, to everybody who did post questions and post more.
And I want to thank everyone for the amazing response to the Roman Fritz episode.
Oh, yeah.
So much feedback on that one. He was great. We'll definitely be having Roman on again. So just a heads up to everybody. Okay. Dusty, I know you got a question box up. I saw it.
Yeah, I threw it up. That's why I'm jumping on here real quick. Okay, basic one to start.
You're not falling asleep there with your hat down, are you? You're looking down.
I'm actually reading. I'm reading for once. I didn't do that this time. Best heart rate zone for fat loss on prep.
I don't actually know what the data would say on this. My safe zone was always like 110 to 120, 130 beats per minute was where I did most of my cardio. And that was just doing like steady state treadmill, incline walking or whatever was mostly what I did. And I always just kind of followed the rule that Meadows used to say later on. Meadows would say cardio should either be really easy or really hard.
Agreed.
But to avoid moderate cardio, you don't want to be doing moderate cardio because that causes the most adaptation of your it like technically turns your 8-cylinder into a 6-cylinder. It makes you more efficient with calories, which is you do not want to be efficient with calories. You want to be blasting inefficient. You want to have holes in your gas tank and a V12 engine.
Right.
And either HIIT cardio will do that because you're on the right energy system. You're not on the endurance system, right? Or easy steady state that doesn't trigger an adaptation.
Right.
So that's why walking has been such a common, like, look at all the people who just walked for cardio, like Dorian. And I mean, Meadows generally did a lot of just walking. And I walked most of my, like a lot of the 90s guys, we just walked, a lot of treadmill walking, you know, watch those old Battle for the Olympias. There's a lot of, you know, and whether you call that the bro way to do it or whatever, that's just how it was done. And it seemed to work. You kept your muscle. And you know, you got in shape if you just followed the plan. What do you think, Dusty?
I hate cardio. So yes. I always did the same in the opposite direction, which was I still walk, but I would always push the incline. And basically the moment that cardio started to feel easier, I made it harder. That was how I could keep, because Chris would say, for example, he'd say 20 minutes on the step mill or 30 minutes on the treadmill. And when I would first start, 20 minutes on a step mill, 60 steps per minute would be tough. And as soon as I started getting easy, I would jump that up to 72 steps per minute. And that's what I tell my clients is keep that in mind, is as the cardio gets easier, I want you to push it up a little bit.
Right.
Let me know.
You know what your heart rate would have been?
I never even looked. I just knew I wanted to make it harder, because that's also why for my entire career, like the highest my cardio probably ever got was like 45 minutes in a day.
Right.
Because we would push.
You are going to get, like, I know what you mean. You are going to get, cardio is going to get easier. Plus you're getting lighter. So you're carrying less weight around. So the cardio does get easier. So, I always go by heart rate. So let's say my heart rate was let's say it was 120. By the middle of prep, I have to have more of an incline, and I'd have to be walking a little faster to still have it at 120.
Right.
But the point is that 120 was still relatively easy cardio.
Right.
It was, I was going harder than I was to start, but I wasn't doing like the hard jog, 160 heart rate. That's not where you want to be. That's why they say jogging is like the worst cardio for fat loss. I mean, that whole jogging fad that hit the 80s didn't make anybody leaner. It's like
I like to do HIIT on the bike for my clients too. Do you do that? I'll have them do 10 minutes of HIIT, 30 seconds all out, 30 seconds cruise. I don't even say a number. I'm like, cruise, get your oxygen back, and then go again. And I can always tell when someone doesn't do it, because the first day I send it, they don't bitch.
You gotta be
it's fucking terrible. Like if you've never done that and someone says 10 minutes, that's a long fucking time for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So if I don't get a response, I'm like, dude, you're 30 pounds over stage weight. That hurts.
I remember there was one time specifically where I did 45 minutes of HIIT on the stepper, not the step mill, but like the one where you're standing on the two steps. I did 45 minutes on the stepper, which I liked. So I would do 4 minutes easy, and then 1 whole minute hard, and then 4 minutes easy, 1 minute hard. So there was a minute every 5 minutes, right?
Right.
And man, that's a long 45 minutes on a stepper.
Oh yeah.
Is that 4 minutes easy is still like you're like recovering from the minute.
I was going to say it took 3 minutes to get your oxygen back. Then you have a minute to get a sip of water.
Yeah. Plus this is like late in the prep too. So this is like 100 grams of carbs all day, so it's like real shitty. But there is a big leap in fat loss when you put the time in like that. Yeah. And that's still not like anywhere near the type of cardio that like someone who like runs 2 miles, like that's the way higher, overall intensity of it.
Yeah.
So, but the thing with cardio is that you still want to make sure, like when you talk about time, you should always be training more than you're doing cardio. So people who train an hour a day and do 2 hours a day cardio, I always think there's something, because you know the law of specificity, right? Like what you put the most into is what your body becomes, and you don't want to become an endurance athlete.
That's a great point I never thought of.
Yeah, I never thought about that either. That's interesting, though.
You know, you become what you do. So if what you mostly do is cardio, that's that's not the point.
This is a good one. And I know we've answered this, but I just feel like I keep getting it. So, Scott, I'm going to start with you because I actually know Ron's answer to this.
All right.
How did you mentally conquer force feeding to grow?
Ooh, I watched Jay Cutler videos, which inspired me to feel like, is it just what we all do, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, that's the answer. Like I watched Jay Cutler force feed, and I was like, this is just what we got to do. So I did it. I remember following the Ronnie Coleman plan and getting those the grits packets, emptying them into the bowl with all my like a dozen scrambled egg whites, and then all those grits packets, like 4 of them, and just mix it all up. And then I just sit there for like a half hour, just eating this giant bowl until I couldn't. And then you take the water and you take a bite, put it in your mouth and kind of like chew it up a little bit, water it, swallow it like a pill. Or chicken, same thing. Chew up the chicken, take a drink of water, swallow it like a pill. I don't think it really was to my benefit though. Instead, nowadays, what I think it's more valuable is to try to trick your body to stay hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the kiss of death in an off season is when you lose your appetite. So I have guys now that are eating a lot of food and we're keeping them like really fucking hungry. And when they start feeling over full, then we like maybe pull back a little bit. We add a little bit of cardio in and we pull out, maybe remove a little fats or something. We can squeeze some more carbs in there. And then they're complaining. They're eating like thousands of calories and they're like, oh my God, my appetite's like a furnace. And I'm like, now we're good. So I don't force feed a ton.
I think that I do a lot of that. Do a 10-minute walk before you eat your meal.
Yeah.
Amazing what that does. A 10-minute walk. Just, work somewhere you can disappear for 10 minutes. I mean, literally walk down the hallway, walk up the stairs and down, and then walk right back to your office and eat. It's pretty drastic what that does.
I like that.
I've been playing with meal times and small bursts of activity like that just for fun because I can just do whatever I want with my meals now. So sometimes there'll be something I have to do and I'm like, I'm not really that hungry, but I know I should eat. I'm like, fuck, I should eat. It's been like 3 hours, but I've got maybe something that I need to do that'll take 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to go do that 20-minute thing. I'm going to go replace that cable or whatever. And then I'll eat, and just like that extra little, burst of activity, doing something, that meal goes down like way easier, than when you're kind of like, I got to eat this food, that sort of thing. And the 10-minute walk, the old Stan Efferding, like 10-minute walk after you eat, I really like that. Like you eat a big meal and then I'll like go make myself do something instead of just sitting there, Right. It does you feel like it does move it along. It gets your body your stomach's flat, like within 10 minutes. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Right.
So it does something to you, but we're supposed to be moving way more than we do. Right. Like someone said to me the other day, like I'm walking every day. Is that bad? Is that going to slow my metabolism down? I'm like, think of all the people who what did we do for 100,000 years?
Right.
It's like no, it's not how your body works. People are way too scared. They're way too scared by stuff now, Oh, I don't want to walk too many steps. I don't want to down-regulate my metabolism. And it's just.
I love how, I don't know when this started. I think it happened during the, if it fits your macros craze, that we got this whole idea that our body was such a delicate flower.
Oh yeah. Perfect mathematical formula.
Yeah. Like I'm like, no, if your calories go too low for too long, you're going to shut down your metabolism forever.
Yeah. And then, and other stuff like, avoid caffeine in the morning because it raises cortisol.
Right.
Okay. Well, how much? For how long? What do you mean raises cortisol?
Do I
can you say that and expect me to give a shit? Like what? It raises cortisol 5% for 20 minutes.
Plus, we want that blast. Like it's there for a purpose. We want it. Not all the time, but we want.
Who says it's not good?
Yeah.
Who says it's not a little anti-inflammatory kick in the morning or something? Well,
it wakes you up, gets you moving.
Yeah, when we're so worried about all this stuff, maybe the coffee is more valuable than worrying about your cortisol. You know, plus you get that
worrying about the
dump.
coffee is raising your cortisol more than drinking the coffee.
Yeah. My morning dump lowers my cortisol. I'll tell you that much.
But I mean, it is true. That's like a thing where it became a cool thing. I'm like, I think back to Meadows, and he was like, you know, egg whites and sugar-free ketchup. That was my diet for 7 years. I mean, you know what I mean? During prep. Yeah. I mean, and I remember people would fight with him. That's too low. I'm like, is he peeled?
Yeah. And are you huge? Are you as good as him? You know,
like it's obviously working for him. I don't understand that whole thing. But I was going to say, speaking of, that was one of the things that I stole from Matt back in the day. Was he had all of his clients park their cars far away every single place they went. That was like a big factor for him. He's like, if you go to the gym, last parking spot. Go to the grocery store, last parking. He forced steps out of people.
What do you say, Matt? Porter?
Man.
Matt Porter. Yeah, that was it. That was a big thing that he did. And he literally, that was just a rule. Like, this is what you do always.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to some of his clients, and I'm like, God, that's a great idea, because if not, everyone does the opposite. Like, I always laugh when you go to the gym and people are like literally waiting for a close parking spot. And I'm like, the parking lot's not that big. And you're going to walk inside and get on a treadmill.
I can't remember who it was, but I had a friend, and she was kind of obsessed with steps. And she told me how many steps she worked into her year just by modifying things. And one of the things was she worked on like the 30th floor of a building. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't practical for her to climb the stairs every day, every single time. Sure, but she would always take the elevator to like the 25th floor and then just walk up 5 flights.
Okay.
And she would do that every day to and from work. And she did the math on how many steps that was over the course of the whole year. Mm-hmm. And she's like, this is a massive impact to my overall activity. And then I add, the parking spot thing. And then I add the, this thing. And at the end of the year, I have this many more steps. It's like hundreds of thousands of steps more.
Yeah.
And she's like, so, that was part of her plan to just be more active, So
yeah. I think we get too caught up in bodybuilding now with the little details. There's an obsession with, for example, the other day I got a question and a guy asked about growth. When's the best time to take growth? And I really, like, my true answer to everybody is just fucking take it.
Yes.
Like, I've never seen someone on stage said, man, I noticed he was taking 6 IUs of growth, and I did the research. And if you take 3 IUs at night and 3 IUs in the morning, it's actually better than all 6 at night. Don't forget. There's your answer. Take it when you won't forget. It's funny because here's what I will tell you guys, and not that you shouldn't do the best you can to, peak yourself, but the best guys that I've ever talked to, it's not even a subject of conversation. Chris Aceto never said to me, XYZ, take it at this time.
We got to change the time.
Yeah,
we're 8 weeks out. We got to shift it to PM AM now.
Yeah.
No, there's none of that.
So I think we worry about that shit, but then it's like, then I'll get a video from someone who asked that question and they leave 3 reps on the table on a hack squat. And I'm like, I'd like to talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. This, it's a general overriding theme in the industry is putting so much effort and attention on things that make almost zero difference when you don't have the main 3 things that are 95 to 97% of your results nailed down.
Yeah.
Train like a fucking animal, nail your diet, and stay focused on what you're doing. And the cortisol in the morning with your coffee and the, all that stuff just is completely fucking irrelevant, So
I think we get a little bit of an issue too, because, here's a thought. So the people who are doing this are often people that don't know better, right? So they're just trying to think I want to get the most, especially take the growth hormone thing. They're like, I'm spending all this money. I want to make sure I get the best out of it. But then we also have coaches. I think sometimes it's inexperienced coaches, and I think sometimes it's people who are complicating things to feel important. We get that going on. And then if I were to hire you, Ron or Dusty, and you guys tell me, yeah, don't just take the growth hormone whenever you want. But then I have another guy who say, oh man, you got to split it up and take 2 units every 4 hours throughout the day. Anybody who tells you anything else is foolish because they don't know the science and the blah, 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 and this is happening and that's happening. I think there's a sales pitch in there too, a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
No, I get that. And I think that when you, here's what this would be advice to trainers coming up that are thinking about that is a lot of times they do want to have a shtick, a reason that people should use them. And you know what my best brand ever was? Results.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's all you have to do. If your client, literally, and I know this happens to Ron all the time. I went to a show last year when I was still in Arizona, and I never go to shows. And a guy looked at me and he's like, you have athletes? I said, yeah. So we fast forward like 15 minutes, and one of my guys walks out and he turns and he goes, that's one of them? I said, yes. Next guy walks out, he goes, that one too? Yes. It's like, that's what gets you sales.
It is true.
Bring people in. Like, so, and I tell people up front when they start with me, when we get done, you're going to be shocked at how basic what we did was to get you this extreme result. It won't even make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mental masturbation, I guess. That's what they're into.
Yeah. I can't blame them though. I mean, we all went through the phase where we micromanaged something.
Absolutely.
And I guess I'm just old enough and was around long enough to come out the other end of micromanaging that thing and realizing it didn't matter. And then I go to micromanage something else, realize that didn't matter. You do it several times as you're coming up, and, we play with things. It's like the perfect split. It's like,
yep.
The muscle tissue doesn't, like your triceps don't know if you've trained calves that day.
Yeah.
The only thing that cares is the tissue being overloaded enough to cause an adaptation. There's no knowledge of what day it is or what you trained the day before in the tissue. Like it's just, that stuff's all just in your head. You got to find a split that makes sense for recovery, that you can be consistent with. Consistency is also too, like the bottom line end of it. Like the diet you can stick to is the one that will work. Like there's that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you can micromanage things all you want. You could say it's optimal to train 3 times a day, 4 sets each workout. It's optimal to take your growth hormone 1 IU every 2 hours. But it doesn't map onto the real world. So it's meaningless. Like no one can do that. Everyone's got a job. Most people have families and kids and fucking businesses and shit they have to do. So no, they're not going to train 3 times a day. So whatever,
Yep.
That's my rant.
It's accurate ramp though, because I say the same thing to clients when I do a lot. The majority of my clients now are general population, and I'll just tell them do not start this unless you look at this and something we can keep doing. We can get the results slower if you need that sauce. That's okay. We can work around it. You know what I mean? Because if you quit, we're not going to get there. If it takes 3 months longer than it would have, well, we got there. So who cares? It has to be manageable, and you have to be honest with yourself. And that's where you're at. Because like you said, Ron, if you told me I had to go to the gym twice a day, I'm like, 10 years ago, absolutely. Now, fuck off. I don't have time for that.
Right. Yeah.
So pretty simple.
Okay.
We good, or you want to hit one more?
Oh, we got to hit another one.
All right, perfect. Oh, this is a good one. Feel hacks in the glutes more than the quads. Stance is narrow, back on the pad, heel on the platform. Me or the machine?
Well, so here's something. Sometimes your feelings don't matter. There's that. So I'll throw that out there. Sometimes people say like, oh, I feel that. Like I've watched people do chest machines with perfect form. And they're like, I feel that in my triceps. And I'm like, well, it looks like your chest is doing most of the work. So I don't really care what you feel. Right?
I've lost
like
a few relationships.
Biomechanically, your chest is opening right up and then contracting. Your shoulders are moving properly. Everything's positioned right. So let's just chalk it up to you feel your triceps more. than you feel your pecs. And maybe your triceps are hyper sensitive and you get a great pump in them no matter what you do, and they're always going to feel good. Just get over it. You're here to train your chest, focus on that. Over time, maybe you'll feel your chest more. But right now, it looks like your chest is doing a lot of work, and I like your form. So just keep repping out, man. Get your chest to fail. Get it. Make sure they're getting a pump and everything, obviously. If someone's not getting a pump, then that's pretty easy to see. Like, you can see if their mechanics are so bad. Like, if you watch somebody do an exercise, and at our level, we watch it and we know they're doing it right, they're going to get a pump in the right muscle eventually if they just go hard enough. So sometimes what they're feeling doesn't matter. Their body tells them stuff that doesn't matter.
It's a great answer, because you can't push a full range of a hack squat with just your glutes. It's impossible.
Right. Like, the quads are coming in there at some point. And maybe you just need to maybe you just keep working on the exercise and you'll get stronger. And eventually your quads are going to have to like really come to the table to do more work, because, you're going to start hitting your weight thresholds and hitting true failure and all that sort of stuff. And your quads are going to do more work over time. But if your form's good, then you should just stay in the good form and it will come. That's what I think.
And Scott?
Well, I agree with everything you're saying. And I guess I would like to see what the movement looked like. Like, do they have their feet really high and wide on the plate? Are they right? Can they adjust their feet down? I know that I've had maybe certain machines that I'll feel more in one area than another. Like my leg press that I have at the house here from Nautilus. If I don't keep my feet real low on the plate, the way that the plate comes down, it's going to be a lot of glute and a lot of hamstring. Like, the same thing as if you're to use like a Cybex machine and put your feet high and wide. So I just know where I have to put my feet, Is it a compromise with my knees? I have to like kind of skirt that line. How much pressure, how much of that shearing force am I getting? Yeah. Versus is it worth? Yeah, exactly. So that would be my thought if they're not liking it. I think no matter what, like you said, Dusty, it's not, the glutes aren't going to move it on their own. But if you wanted to mess around with it, maybe try adjusting your foot positioning a little bit.
I guess I sort of assumed. I sort of assumed they were already very conscious of being, feet lower, quad dominant. Yeah. Another thing too is, like we're talking about micromanaging. There's also like this over focusing. So I watch a bunch of guys doing hack squats where they've got their feet so low that their heels are coming off a bit on the bottom of every rep. And or they've got their feet so low that it like handicaps their weight, the ability to move any weight at all. And there's also like, you go too far and you wind up not getting enough out of the exercise. I mean, you need to be able to load yourself and feel strong and comfortable, and so, you want to be quad dominant, but you don't have to put yourself in like an awkward position where you're going to put things at risk or anything. Yeah. But yeah, it's you have to feel strong. I remember Dorian used to always say, you want to put your body in a position where you can move significant amounts of weight. Like, putting yourself in really weak positions isn't necessarily the best for certain exercises. Yeah. Right. So, agreed. You want to be strong and stable. Stability is the key. If you're not stable in a position, you shouldn't be loading it. Right. So, agreed. Okay, this is an across the board one, so this might be a little tough to answer quickly, but best piece of advice you've ever received? Wear comfortable shoes. And the show is over because that's good. The best advice there is. Good. That's good. That's fantastic. They say that one really matters. That's apparently one that really matters. That is very, very accurate.
I'm good on going out on that. That was good.
Don't come in the front hole.
Also, something that's been taught.
It was bonus.
Oh my god.
Very expensive.
Little bonus.
Rod's got some gems. I got a lot after last year. A lot of chew your food. I got a lot of that.
Chew your food. Don't be in a hurry to eat. Yeah. Don't go home and like let the dogs out if you're bleeding from your esophagus.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Check the mail. Do a few emails.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh God, I'm sorry, but we have to end there. I mean, wear comfortable shoes is the end of this show because there's no better advice.
No, I've learned that lesson the hard way too a few times. You know.
Oh, for sure.
You know, you're like, oh, these shoes will be fine for the expo, and then 3 days later, you're like, oh fuck, I should have brought my Jordans.
Which is why Scott wears Crocs.
I have gotten so many different memes and texts and pictures of Crocs. It's great, you guys. Keep them coming. They're amazing. I'm not wearing the Crocs today. I got the Metcons on, but I'll have them for you guys. I'll show them.
I was at the airport passing through on the way to Utah, and I saw a chick with bedazzled Crocs, and I was like, there they are.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I really am hyper aware after that one episode. I noticed 2 people in the gym last week were working out in Crocs.
Really?
And I was like, wow, I didn't think it was happening in where I like around me. I thought it was something that happened to other people.
I felt the same the first time there was a drug problem at my school as a kid. I was like, oh, they do this here?
Oh my God, they have drugs here? It's like, wait, we got to bring up one more thing. That reel I sent you guys about things that people do that make them look like a psychopath in the gym.
Oh my God.
And the one was working out in regular clothes.
Yes.
Which is so accurate.
Now, I've noticed some gyms, like corporate gyms, like fitness centers, will have a sign that says like, you know, be like on the rules, right?
Yeah.
Like, must wear workout attire. Yeah. But, you know, I always thought, well, that's just like a nightclub having something in the clause so that they can refuse service if they have to. Like, let's say you came in with like thong underwear and sandals. They could say, oh, it's not workout attire, right? It saves their ass, gives them an out.
Yeah.
But then you see the actual odd person just like rocks in like jeans.
Yeah. Some cowboy boots.
Starts like leg pressing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so there's that part of me as a gym owner. I'm like, well, you know, maybe this guy's got a busy life. Like he works 12 hours a day and he's got 2 kids and he's on his lunch break. And this is the only time he gets. And he's just going to pump out a few sets and go back to work. Yeah. And then the other half of me thinks maybe this person is going to be a serial killer soon. And this is the first symptom of their world falling apart.
So there was a guy at the EOS, which used to be Gold's in North Scottsdale. There was a surgeon, and he would come in with the full surgeon outfit, the scrubs,
like the hospital pants and everything,
and the hat.
Oh, he's still in character, straight off the set of ER.
Yeah.
I was like, and I always thought to myself, like, well, if you have the hat on, I'm assuming you actually did a surgery today. Is that even clean?
Yeah, that's sanitary.
Right. Is there blood splatter on the hat?
Walking around in that, like. It always bothered me so much. I'm like, you've got plenty of money.
Was it just a ploy to get chicks? Was he just so sensitive about getting chicks and he thought I got to be a doctor 247? It's got to be like so obvious.
Not him, because there's no way he was getting chicks either way.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard, you know? That's really
I mean, it was just one of those things like I wanted to walk up and you can walk him by the back.
Would he wash his hands? Would he wash his hands after every set?
I don't know, but I hope he does all the way down to the elbow, like they do.
Right.
And then dry, like they walk out like this, and I put his gloves on for him.
You see, yeah. You hand the dumbbells to him, so he doesn't have to touch anything else.
Yeah.
You see him in the bathroom, and you're like, "Didn't you just take a piss? Why are you washing your elbows?" He's like, "Oh, gotta get up there." You know?
He looks at me and he goes, 40s, please. And I hand him the 40-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
Scalpel is a 5. I'm like, got it.
The good news is for, I think, any of the 3 of us and probably most of the people watching the show, if we forgot our gym clothes at home, that is okay because we are probably already wearing gym clothes.
Yeah, it's not even a factor. I felt like maybe I should start wearing them. I was like, I've given a lot of shots too, Doc.
Here's a question. Yeah, I need scrubs. Here's a question. I'm somewhat of a doctor myself. So who's the actor that's in that meme? The villain from Spider-Man. You know, he was in Deer Hunter. What's his name?
Which villain from Spider-Man?
He was in the first Spider-Man. He was like the bad guy. What's that actor's name?
I don't know his name. I can see his face.
He's in that. Yeah, he's in that meme. I'm gonna get it.
Get it. Send us the meme though. Now it needs to go up because
I just go to Deer Hunter because he was in that. Damn, there's a lot of people in Deer Hunter. Holy shit. He's not even on the first page of cast. Jesus.
Well, this guy really, are you even sure he was in Deer Hunter?
Now there's too many Spider-Man movies. I don't even know which one I'm looking at. I don't know all the Spider-Mans.
Oh boy, we got a code red. What happened to Ron?
We got a code red. I can't remember an actor's name that I should know.
And it's going to be like a guy, Scott, you and I have never known his name, but we know who he is.
I don't know actors either anyway. So I'm going to, either way, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, and just kind of act like I know what he's talking about. So there's that.
Well, now I have to find him. What was the first Spider-Man called? Just Spider-Man? 2002? There he is. Right. Haha. William Dafoe.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yes. There's a great meme of him. Yes. He's the one that's in that amazing meme. I'm going to see if it comes up. It's this face, but it says, I'm somewhat of a, and then they insert here, like, I'm somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that picture. Yes, I'm somewhat of a doctor myself.
Remember they used to have, they had those commercials from I can't remember which hotel it was. They were like, "Oh, you're a doctor." No, but I did stay. I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
One of those. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my story about when I used that line in a real world situation, and it was like hilarious to me?
And no one else.
So I was bartending. I wasn't bouncing. I was bartending, and this big fight broke out right in front of my bar. And I was just like, oh, fuck. So I'm looking around for doorman, and they're all running to the thing, but it's out of control. And my manager's like kind of getting beat up. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I jump the bar, and there's this one real big guy. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to deal with him. Like, because he's the biggest guy and I'm the biggest guy. So I'm going to have to deal with this guy. And so I grab him from behind and I put him, grab him across the chest and sort of have him in a half sleeper. And I'm just trying, I'm like, patting him like security, like trying to get him to calm down. And he's just giving her. So I lock it up and I'm like choking him because he's like bigger than me. He's like 6'4". He's big and he's raging. He's punching a manager. So I'm putting him to sleep, and we topple over and we hit the ground, and he's still really kicking, but I hook the legs in and roll on my back, and I have him in like a full rear naked choke. And I have never taken a class of any of that, but it's not a hard move, right? It's not a hard move. I know how to hook the legs. I've seen it on TV a million times. So I put him in a rear naked choke, and he like totally went out, and I rolled over. And then he came to, but the doorman handled him. And I like stood up and walked away, and they dealt with him. I think they put him in handcuffs and like walked him out. And these two guys were at my bar, and they're like, holy shit, that was like a full on rear naked choke. You put that guy to sleep. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, do you take jujitsu? And I said, no, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn once. And they just fucking, those two guys, they lost it.
Good timing. Sure.
It was beautiful timing. I remember being so proud of myself.
Yeah.
Like driving home that night, I was just like, oh, what an epic.
You were more proud of the line than the choke.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that one guy, his name was Steve. He messaged me on Instagram like years later. And he goes, hey, do you remember that night you put that guy in a rear naked choke? I was telling my friends about it the other night. And do you remember what you said? And I was like, oh, yes, I do.
It's a legendary.
Yes,
legendary.
You got to use it in your life. You got to find a spot where you can use that line and see if people get it.
Ron has got two lines that will always go down in history. And the other one is the size of his penis. Anyways.
Hey, you got to have an answer for that question, right?
Did we ever said that on the show? Did you ever tell Scott that?
Yes, we have. But
I think we have.
We got to save it. You know, we'll leave them. We'll let them dig around in back episodes.
That one's I'm like, when you said that the first time you told me that story, I was like, it's the greatest answer.
It's a good answer.
History of the world.
It's a good answer. It served me well.
If the steak would have killed me that day, it would have been fine.
Okay. That felt like a quick episode because we had like the technical issue and stuff. So I don't really sure what Scott's going to get out of this, but he'll put something together.
We got a lot. We got plenty. We've got an episode and just a tip.
Okay. Yeah. And just a tip. Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. Remember, like, share, subscribe,
comment, and ring the bell.
There you go. I left that for Dusty. See how he's good at.
It's like you guys have done this before.
Though. I like leaving it for him occasionally. So we'll do that. Okay. Remember, guys, it's just bodybuilding.